Coming up on Gardening with Gutner, it's autumn and harvest time, and we'll be picking apples at Libby and Son U-Pick Farm in Limerick. They were voted America's #1 orchard.
Then we're off to Orr's Island in the Salt Cod Cafe. We'll be baking rustic apple tarts. Last stop, Portersfield Cider House in Pownell, where they turned foraged apples into select hard ciders.
That's next on Gardening with Gutner. So this is, you got over 40 acres here, huh?
Yes, yeah, we like to say we have over 40 acres of fruity family fun.
So we made him say that.
This is what you can't create. To come out here, to get out in nature, to see these scenery, and then go home with the fruits and then have all the fun. That's what it's all about, the destination experience.
So you were just voted the #1 orchard in America?
What an amazing thing.
Wow, dude.
Just,
that's huge.
You're talking about thousands of orchards,
Yeah.
over 8,000 apple orchards. There's so many wonderful places out there. I know so many of them across the country, especially the New England area.
Yeah.
To get that much support, for us to bring it home.
Tiny little town in Maine.
Little town of Limerick, Limerick, Maine, Central York County, southern Maine here, and so it's just amazing.
This one's your favorite.
Yeah, well, it's so, we're in the late season here, so you have different varieties. This is John Gold. John Gold definitely doesn't get the publicity that it deserves. I think it's better than Honeycrisp.
Come on.
I know, blasphemy to say it. I
That's
know,
a big, bold
That's,
statement, Aaron.
It's an excellent apple. It's a good size. Flavor is just amazing.
This is a different looking tree. It's not your classic looking tree. What's this system called?
These are high density trees. A lot of trees planted in an acre. Commercially, all the big growing areas are definitely switching over to this. But you can do this, for your backyard too. And the reasons of light inception, it's crucial to get the light to the apples. Without the light, you're not going to get the fruit production. Better premium fruit, but more bushels per acre because you have a higher density packed of them. So you're getting more apples in a small amount of space, and you're getting better apples. The key, one of the big keys to growing fruit is to grow fruit, not wood. You want fruit, not wood.
Fruit, not wood. Got it? Talk about the rootstock a little bit. Can you get this tree at your local nursery?
Absolutely.
Is this possible?
So
okay.
There's two parts to an apple tree.
Yep.
You have your scion, in this case is John Gold, that's the variety, and then you have your rootstock. Your rootstock is the foundation of what the tree is going to do. So this ball right here is called the graft union. Up here is the variety, or scion. In the nursery, they will then take the rootstock. Like I said, these are fully dwarfing rootstocks. This is an M9 clone NAKV 93.
You don't have to, you could
it's
make it up and I'd be like, yup.
So there's a lot of different rootstocks, newer rootstocks, a lot of Geneva rootstocks where you get fire blight resistance and replant disease resistance and things like that. You want a fully dwarfed tree. It's going to be easier to maintain. It's going to get your apples quicker.
How much quicker? How long are we talking before?
You can get fruit in the first couple of years versus waiting 5-7 years. You do need to have it trellised. It's these trees, because it's a dwarfing rootstock, that means the root system is a lot smaller, so it doesn't have the strength to hold itself up.
Yeah, like wind could blow it over pretty easily.
Well, especially when the apples get going. So you do need to stake it, or you need to have some sort of a wire system. That can still be done very easily.
Yeah.
Post and T-post and things like that. Okay. And because the root system is not as large as a bigger tree, you need water. You definitely need to, these are too shallow of a root systems to let it be on itself. I know it's a tree, and we don't think about watering trees too often as we do plants, but this style, these dwarfing trees definitely need to be watered. So obviously this is what this drip lines here. Doesn't have to be that elaborate. You could, an old watering can,
right?
You could do
watering can, whatever.
But yes, you want to always keep the water going to the trees.
Why is this all white down in here?
Yeah, so we paint the trunks. The main reason for that is to moderate the temperatures in the winter time. So you get the sun hitting it in the middle of the winter, bark will start to warm up, and at night, cold, contracts, and then that will start to have cracks. Also
split open a little
split open, so diseases can get in there, borers can get in there. So right here is the fruit bud. That actually is going to be next year's flowers that opens up in the spring, and then that's where the apples come from. So all your fruit bud is already established. So when the tree's growing the fruit, they're also growing the fruit buds.
Oh, I see.
So a drought stress and things like that can not only affect the apples that are on the tree, but also affect next year's crop.
So you could have 2 seasons of apples affected by Mother Nature.
Absolutely. absolutely.
Out of all the fruit on your farm, what's your favorite?
The ripest. What's ripe that day? Come on, I can't not say that. No, I mean, it's nice to see the different, the seasonality, the different varieties of different fruits. It's good to be diversified, of course, but it's nice to get the different flavors. If you had to pin me down and say one thing, I'm going to say the Tango's peaches. The Tango peaches.
Tango peaches.
Tango, it's a flat peach.
Like saucer looking thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just, it tastes like you just took a trip down in the Caribbean.
Wow.
It's got like a
tropical?
mango. Yes. I don't know. I feel like I'm down, poofing down to a beach somewhere.
You're sitting under a palm tree.
Yeah.
So let's talk soil. What do we need for good soil for apple trees?
So you want to, you got to prepare your site. You got to, site prep is crucial. You'll waste your money, you'll waste your time if you don't have the right soil. You got to know what your pH is. You're looking around 6.5 to 6.8 on the pH. You got to do a soil sample, send it out to the extension, know what's in there. You got to make sure you have a good organic matter in there, well drained. You can't have wet feet. If the tree has wet roots and wet feet, it could die. You don't want, you need air to drain, so you want to have an area that's not just like a pocket of cold air.
Oh, so it's like sloped a little bit?
Yes, you want air to drain off on it.
When is the best time to plant these?
You want to do it in the spring. You want to plant in the spring. We have a short growing season as it is, but when you transplant a tree, that's a lot of shock to that system, to that root system. So you're much better off doing it early in the spring. Don't do it in the fall. You're not going to gain anything. Just like prepping your soil, you can lose in the end. You'll lose years or you can lose the tree. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So better chance that you have a higher success rate of getting a tree that grows.
What's one apple that you're so sick of at this point that you won't eat again right now?
No, you can't.
Yeah, you
You can't be. The season's too short, and you work 365 to get them to grow. You just
All right,
can't.
fine. I was hoping
You know
were
what?
gonna.
I got 5 trees of Red Delicious. I hate Red Delicious.
Boom! There it is.
Red Delicious.
Look at this one. It's almost as big as my head. It's going to be perfect for our next stop, Orr's Island Salt Cod Cafe. We're going to do some baking.
The Bailey Island Bridge connects Bailey Island to Orr's Island in Harpswell, and it means summer to me. I've been visiting my mom out here for over 20 years. This area has become one of my favorite nooks in the state. The salt-sprayed air defines what I think Maine should smell like. The tiny working harbors lined with beach roses define what I think Maine should look like. Allison Prince is the owner of Salt Cod Cafe. We've never officially met, but I feel like I've known her forever.
Allison, how are you? I brought you some gifts here. I got a bunch of apples from Libby Farm.
Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
Those look great.
They are, yeah, they're delicious.
However, I thought we might make something with the apples from our old apple tree here.
Well, they look delicious too. We could totally do that. Allison, I have to tell you, I've been coming to the Salt Cod Cafe for about 20 years. I've eaten a million of your summer pies. So when we were going to bake something with apples, you were the first person that I thought of.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Your stuff is so delicious.
Thank you.
What do you have planned for us today?
I thought we could make an apple tart today.
I like the sound of that, and I'm sure I'll like the taste of that too.
All right, let's go inside.
Let's go. So Allison, that sign on the side of your building, since 1850, you've been a part of this island for a long time.
My great-great-grandfather established a general store here on the point in around 1845. This building that we're in was built around 1865.
So we're doing an apple tart, which is really simple. So where will we start? We're gonna peel and core the apple and slice it up, right?
Correct.
So that we have apples that look like this right here. And how thick is that, Allison?
Eighth to a quarter of an inch thick.
Okay, about an eighth to a quarter of an inch. And this recipe calls for how many cups?
3 cups of apples.
3 cups. With your dough, are you team butter or are you team shortening?
A little of both.
A little of both? You're like Switzerland? You don't want to upset anybody? So we're gonna roll this out, is that correct?
Correct. And I actually start by pressing the whole thing with my hand.
Pressing down.
Yep.
Okay, just to get it started?
Just to get it started.
Okay, and you say this is gonna actually just like form itself, like super easy. I don't believe that. I got a feeling this is gonna be like a rectangle or something. What's the secret?
The secret to rolling is to roll from the center out.
So I already messed up.
So you can go back this way or that way.
Okay.
We have sugar,
Yeah.
cinnamon,
Okay. I'm just gonna dump them in here. Cinnamon,
nutmeg,
nutmeg.
and was 2 tablespoons of sugar and an 1/8 teaspoon of sugar, nutmeg and cinnamon,
Okay.
and then a pinch of kosher salt.
Kosher salt. Next up.
Okay, then we want to add our apples.
All right, here come the sliced apples.
And just make sure that everything's well coated. So that looks good.
That looks good.
So we'll take a 1/2 cup of the filling,
Okay. I'll let you do the honors there.
so roughly a 1/2 cup. It's
Yeah.
hard to measure the
Sure.
slices.
All right.
And then just kind of gather them up in the middle of the...
Just mound them right in the middle. All right.
What we're going to be doing is kind of folding the dough and kind of working our way around. But you want to leave a little bit of a gap between the edge of the fruit and the...
Why is that?
It just gives a little space for any juices or whatever
Oh.
to go. And then you want to just kind of push the
sort of-
little seams
Okay. Seal it up a little.
to seal it.
Uh-huh.
If you had any excess flour on the dough, you'd want to take a pastry brush and just brush it off.
Why is that?
Just it will look better. The last thing we do before baking is brush the crust with gently with some water. It's going to keep the crust from browning too much, and it also, we're going to sprinkle this with sugar, and it
Oh, it'll stick there.
the sugar will stick. Take a little bit of sugar, and
And now this apple tart is ready for the oven.
that would be ready for the oven.
And what do we set the oven temperature at?
It's a 375-degree oven for 20 to 35 minutes.
Oh, I can't wait to dig into this. So you're going to join me, I hope,
Oh,
here.
sure.
Okay, good. I didn't have to ask you twice, right? Okay, so let's cheers to this beautiful endeavor that we did with this rustic apple tart in this gorgeous setting here, Orr's Island. I mean, with the water behind us. I mean, just a great time of the year it is here in Maine. So let's give it a shot. How we're doing here? Yeah, that's really good. So that's a wrap for the apple tart and for us here on Orr's Island, but I really look forward to seeing you next summer. I'm coming in. I'm getting my my peach raspberry pie. So
Okay.
I hope those are still on your list of pies that you're making.
They'll be on the list.
Good. Awesome.
Ever since I was a kid, I thought I would work the land, cultivate something beautiful with good old-fashioned elbow grease. In fact, when I was real young, I would tell people I wanted to be a corn farmer. Fast forward 40 years, and I've never even grown an ear. Turns out I'd find my passion in the clouds instead. Still, as we pluck Bethel apples off of David Buchanan's autumn-touched trees, I can't help but feel a little envious.
I've been interested in all sorts of foods for many, many years, and I've been a plant collector. This business really grew out of that. My interest in heritage foods of all sorts. My understanding is that something like 600 varieties were grown in Maine historically.
What did you study while you were in
I studied
school?
nothing really. I studied English, so maybe it helped. I guess it helped with the book.
Well, speaking of the book, you wrote this a little over 10 years ago, Taste Memory. On the cover, Forgotten Foods, Lost Flavors, and Why They Matter. Speak to that. Why do they matter, actually?
So it's partly about the cultural history, about the cuisine. You can make, really as you press different ciders, you realize the incredible range of tastes that you can find in apples. I'm most heartened when someone comes in and says they don't like cider, and they go away saying, well, okay, I like your cider.
So from press to bottling and drinking, how long is that process?
That varies a lot with the cider maker. If you're using a very aggressive champagne-style yeast, for example, at warmer temps, it might be fermented in a couple of weeks. I do something much slower. I tend to ferment over the course of 5-6 months, cooler temperatures, and I blend slowly. I think about it. My test is a full glass test. Once I want to drink a full glass and I'm happy with it, then it's done. Well, let's take a look at my ciders here. These are my two flagships on the top shelf, my original dry and Aronia. So
Okay.
as I tell everybody, those are the two ciders that I try to be consistent with year to year. And then the others are reflections of time and place. So they are just a response to what I find as I go out foraging. So those are really not replicable. I've got two from 2019 right now. I like to age them for a few years if possible, especially when there's more tannin, more body. Just like a wine, the cider improves over the years. One of our 2019 ciders, so this was a great apple year. And again, the apples tend to have a big on year and then an off year. 19, I didn't have to scramble so much. There was a lot of fruit locally from the mid-coast. So this has apples from Pownell and Durham and the Freeport area, and then going up the mid-coast, Harpswell, Bailey Island. So it's a pretty, they're tougher jobs than going out and foraging for fruit on Bailey Island.
We were just there. It is a beautiful place.
It's one of the prettiest places in Maine. I've watched thousands of people at this point take a sip of cider and gauge their reaction, and it's I think of it as a conversation between me and the trees and my customers.
That's pretty cool. So where are you taking me to,
Let's
David?
go and look at the nursery a little bit and some of the tree trials. I've replanted 2 years ago, and you can see that they're growing really nicely. Great. I'm fascinated by what wild trees can bring to the ciders and to the orchard. Some of the disease resistance that I see in the wild trees is really valuable in the orchard. This is a Rubinet, so this was developed.
What was it again?
Rubinet. I believe it was developed in the 60s. It's a Swiss apple.
Wow.
And it's a cross of Cox's Orange Pippin and I think
so good.
Cox's and Golden, I think. Isn't that good?
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah.
This is one of your favorites?
It's one of my favorite eating apples.
That's good.
Yeah, that's why that's here, because I do occasionally eat apples as well as drink them.
Is that so?
This is an apple called Harrison that I've been grafting for years. I have a number of trees that are already producing. I want more because it makes such excellent cider. You can see all the new growth in this. This will be almost a full-size tree when it's mature.
And this is in your ciders, you just said?
It is. It's part of my blends.
Let's taste them then.
Okay.
All right, David, I'm excited. Where do we start?
Sure, let me talk you through this a little bit.
Okay.
So I try to lay these out a little bit on the lighter side to more depth and body and flavor as we move through the flight. So I recommend starting with the first one, which as you can see is a little bit lighter in color.
Yeah.
It's more of a summery, very Prosecco-like drink. I tend to sip it in a bigger glass on a hot summer day. This is my original dry. And so it's bottle conditioned, it has a natural sparkle.
Wow. Yeah, that's delicious. I was expecting more sugar. I was expecting it to be sweeter.
To me, these really belong with a meal. They belong with food, something rich and creamy.
Right.
That bit of acidity.
It'll cut that, right?
It just plays really well with cheese and with a meal. So this one...
Darker, obviously.
Yes,
That's my first impression.
It's got a little reddish colors.
Yeah. Almost like a little blush tinge to it.
So this one's going to have a little bit of a bittering edge to it because of the elderberry and aronia berry.
Okay. Oh, cheers. You know what?
Cheers.
I forgot to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Cheers. Oh, right out of the gate, that's way more drinkable for me. It's smoother for me. So how would you pair a little bit here?
So I selected all the cheeses to be on the creamier side, not super sharp, but they're very sharp. I think they clash against the acidity and the tannins in the cider. If you take a bite of cheese and then a sip of cider and go back and try the original dry again, the cider changes the taste of the cheese, and the cheese helps to sort of balance out some of the acidity and the tannins in the ciders.
It's very different. It definitely is not as acidic to me this time. Why don't we move on to the third one?
Sure. So this one is all foraged. This
Okay.
one's going to have more acidity.
And that would be...
That was one of the two. I used the same label, so it's just a batch number written
one
on
of
the
these.
side.
Got it.
Again, this is all wild apples, and by wild I mean it was never cultivated at all. It's a chance seedling, never tended, not grafted. And so this is just me going around and looking for trees.
That's become my new favorite one.
Oh, okay.
Because
there you go.
Honestly, I don't really taste apple in it. And I don't get the berry that you've added to this one.
Yeah.
but it's just super light. It's a lot lighter than I was thinking too.
Well, thank you. I'm happy you like it.
I love this one.
Great.
This one's delicious. All right, we'll go into the last one now, David. Did you save this one because you feel it's the best one? Like the best for last?
It's the last because it's the most intensely flavored.
Well, cheers to
All right, cheers.
this vintage, which is
All
what
right.
year again?
2020.
2020.
So this is about half foraged, and then it's going to have a stronger tannin. So as I said earlier, I think it's going to go really well with the blue cheese. So we'll have a bite of blue up. Take a sip, have a bite of blue, and then go back to this,
Okay.
and see how it changes.
A little more sugar in this one than the prior vintage one. Also equally, this is delicious too.
So which would you say is your favorite? Walk that back.
I may have to walk back what I said earlier.
Try a bite of the blue cheese and then
Okay.
try this again.
All right, let's do that. So let me try this one more time. Yeah, definitely. This is definitely more of a. I'm holding to number 3. I don't know
Okay.
why. It's my personal preference.
All right.
I know
all right.
this is.
There is no right and wrong. What's my favorite?
Oh, that's.
Oh, which of my children is my favorite?
Well, you know you got to answer it.
Whichever one treats me well is the one that's my favorite.
Whichever one
Okay.
takes care of you as
Whichever
an older,
one
as
cares
an
for
old
me as
man,
I get
right?
older is the one I love most.
So, David, thank you so much for this amazing experience. One that I've never had before. This was really
Thank you
enjoyable.
for all the interest, Todd.
Your website before we go.
PortersfieldCider.com.
PortersfieldCider.com. Thanks for joining us on this apple journey from growing to eating and now drinking. Cheers.
Cheers.
High bush cranberry. Apparently it's really bitter. Oh, I'm just cracking my neck.
Stop it.
No. Yeah, I actually want that one up there. Julie, can you go get a ladder, please?
So how about them apples?
How about them apples?